District breakdown time. We're talking 24-6A with my man Jon Poorman from the Houston Chronicle. 7-team district, so you don't have to beat too many, but you do have to beat 3 teams to get there. Nice offseason for Dickinson head coach John Snelson. He was the THSCA president-elect, so he's going to have some more responsibilities, but I don't think that's going to take away from the talent he has on his team, and they should probably be battling again for the district crown.
Yeah, absolutely. This has obviously become a trend for Dickinson under Coach Snelson. Has done a fantastic job, and I know a lot of people down here in the Houston area were excited to see him voted as the president-elect at the THSCA convention here this month. And you look at what they have coming back. They always have a lot of talent. I really like their chances in this district once again to be competitive at the top. Obviously, it's really tough at the top here. You have Clear Falls and Clear Springs, both coming back, who went 5-1 in district action last year. So those 2 teams are going to be in the mix as well. But Dickinson, has established a winning tradition, and they're going to be in the fight for sure.
When you talk about some of these other teams, for me, maybe I'm wrong about Clear Falls, but I feel like 2 years ago it was all about their defense. The last year was they were kind of offensive. This year it feels like it's falling back on the defense again. It seems like one side of the ball is always stepping out, and then you have Clear Springs there. They have one of my favorite running backs with the Zyshawn Edwards. Talk about those 2 teams and how they might compete there at the top.
Yeah, Clear Falls is just, I feel like sometimes they kind of go under the radar as a team that people are talking about. I think they're going to probably end up somewhere in the top 20 of our Houston area rankings when those come out. But, it's just a program that year after year is really solid and gets in the playoffs, produces good results in that district. And then Clear Springs, obviously, they have, in my opinion, one of the top players in this district coming back, as you mentioned, Zyshawn Edwards, who is a fantastic running back, really kind of the catalyst for that Clear Springs offense. And, it seems like offensively, Clear Springs just kind of reloads each and every year, whether they're losing a quarterback or a star receiver or whoever it is. So I would look for them to keep their foot on the gas there offensively. And, Clear Falls, as you mentioned, I do think this is going to be a big year for the Clear Falls defense. They have a lot of talented teams to contend with this year. And, I think that'll kind of be their focus and maybe their strength.
And then when you talk about the last 4, boy, you got to be happy with Brazerswood last year, that race to get to the playoff spot. And they finished 7-4 overall. They got into the postseason, had a tough first-round opponent, but they still ended up making the playoffs. And then you have a Clear Lake team with maybe one of the best athletes out there with Hunter Moden on the team. So talk about maybe who might be fighting for that 4th spot.
Yeah, Brazerswood, I feel like kind of surprised a lot of people. I believe they started the season maybe 5-0 or 6-0. So they really had it going early on in the season. Obviously, getting into the playoffs was a huge accomplishment for that program for sure. Clear Lake was on the outside looking in, 1 game back in the final district standings there, but Clear Lake has some players. As you mentioned, Hunter Moden, was a Texas commit, still now uncommitted, but he's a versatile athlete, can play offense, defense, special teams. And then they have a safety in Damani Maxson, who's a Kansas commit, a really good player as well. So, they've got some talent to work with down there at Clear Lake, and I would expect both of those teams, Brazerswood and Clear Lake, to definitely compete for the playoffs. Maybe sliding in there in that 3rd or 4th playoff spot there.
Excellent. Hey, that's it for all the districts, but don't think you've seen the last of Jon Poorman, because we're going to come back. We're going to talk next week about some playoff teams some players that will need to step up in the postseason to get their teams 4 or 5 rounds deep in the postseason. I know John's got some thoughts. I got some thoughts. We're going to talk through it next week.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.